to screen time, parents usually associate it with vision, but there are a lot of other things which are associated with that. Will disturb sleep, the child will not have a proper sleep, eating pattern, definitely it will go for a toss. Usually all the parents feel ki okay, the board exams are very important, we need to work in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, that's very important. The most important phase of a child's life is the years before they turn 6.
For parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kidsstoppress now.
As parents of infants starting a mother-toddler program, when you're starting your child's first day at play school, there's so much anxiety that actually goes on within the child, of course, but of course within the parent's mind. Where is the right age to start school? Why are kids at that age so clingy? How are we battling screen at that age with kids? And just so many other questions that you may have as a parent to an under 3 or under 5-year-old. And I'm sure that you have been struggling to find those answers. We have a very, very special guest today who's not only her mom herself, but she's also a child psychologist, early child educator, an influencer, and of course, like I said, she runs her own school, which is commendable because she's not dealing just with her own child, she's dealing with so many kids who are coming into that school. So Vidya Panicker, welcome to the Kidsstoppress podcast.
Thank you so much.
Tell me, how did you start on this journey about being an early childhood educator, growing up years in Bangalore? Have you always been based out of here?
So I am from Kerala. So I was born and brought up in northern part of India, like mostly in Delhi, UP and all. After marrying, I came back, like I came here to Bangalore. And at one point I left my software career. I was like, I'm not meant for this. I was always keen into going and working with children. And I always say that.
When was this? What age? How old were you?
I was 24. Yeah. So this was in 2014. So I told my husband that I want to go and work with children, and he was like, if that's what you really love, just go for it. And that's how I started my career as a math teacher. I was a high school teacher. I love math. So
She's weird. She's just weird. That's why she's a teacher.
Yeah, so what I found was math was like really boring for a lot of children, and nobody was even interested to come and join the math club and other things. So what I did was I tried to make it like more creative. So I had collaborations with schools of another like different countries where we did similar projects, and then we had a Zoom meeting where children from there with their math teacher and my students with me, we had a conversation. They showed their projects and so on. So almost 4 to 5 years of me being a high school teacher, I was like, okay, now it's time for me to have my own little one. Okay, so that was the time like I conceived, and but I was always into blogging. Even when I was a teacher, when I was not a mom, I used to share a lot of my things related to my house, about fashion, about how I'm teaching.
And what age was this? Like
all around like 24, 25 and all.
And which year was this when you started
2014 is when I started my blogging thing. So then what happened was there was one point which always used to strike me when I was a teacher. So what I saw was like, we have children of different abilities.
Yeah.
Some of them are like really very bad at grasping things, but they are good at some other stuff.
Yeah.
But what the educational system was expecting was they expected everyone to learn at the same pace and the same thing at the same time. So there was a very senior teacher with whom I was talking, ma'am, this is something which I really don't agree. But sadly, we have a syllabus to follow, and being a teacher, you need to finish that. Then she introduced me about a word called Montessori. See, she said there's one person called Dr. Maria Montessori. There was a person who worked a lot on this particular thing, and her teachings are still used in many preschools, and you should go and research more on that, and I'm sure that's going to help you out a lot. And now that you have there's a baby coming, so maybe it'll be very helpful. So when I left my job and I was just sitting and I was pregnant, and I used to think a lot and research a lot, I really felt that this is something which we really need. That is going with the pace of the child, not just pushing the child into, the pace that we have decided. So yeah, so that's how I did my Montessori course, and then I did my early childhood education course. I wanted to know more about children, so I went into doing child psychology. My son was born in between, so I used everything. He was my project. So, and we had the pandemic, so I was not sending him anywhere. He was there at home. So from 0 to 3 years, I've done all sorts of activities and everything with him, and I could actually see that every minute that I spent with him, there was something really beautiful coming out of. There was a good result coming out of it, be it bonding, or be it like the happiness that he was having as a child, or anything. So that's when I was like, okay, I need to start sharing these things also online. So I started sharing, and then everybody was like, okay, keep sharing more. And I got a lot of followers. I got a lot of mom following me for early education and other stuffs. And that's how it started. And during the pandemic, I think was the phase where I really grew, because there were no schools. There were parents who were at home with little ones, and they were not knowing what should I teach my child. And 2-3 years, what am I going to do? And my child should not lag behind. You'll always have that FOMO as a parent, right? That time my page and my homeschooling method and my Montessori at home course and all came like a savior for them, and that's when actually my page started kicking.
Amazing. Tell me, how has your journey as a psychologist helped you in your personal parenting journey? Because I can tell you that I think, the biggest takeaway after the fact that Kidsstoppress today impacts so many lives, and to me that is like a great measure of success, like how we spoke of yesterday. But I think after that, one of the big impacts is on a personal journey. Like, I think that having just met so many amazing people, so many incredible parents, experts, counselors, authors, my journey of being a parent and the path that I walked through the last 10 years of building Kidsstoppress, I think it's transformed me as a parent. Like, I don't think Mansi 12 years ago or 10 years ago is the same that she is today. If I didn't walk that path or share that journey of being the founder of Kidsstoppress, I don't think I would have been not only a better parent today, but a better human being. How did that impact you?
Yeah, so learning about a child's psychology and about the mental health and everything related to a child made me understand one major mantra which I follow till now, and I will be following throughout my life. That is, it really doesn't matter how well your child can do math, or how well your child can maybe frame sentences or whatever it is, if your child is not happy. If your child is not happy, if your child don't know how to regulate their emotions, if your child don't know how to validate other person's emotion. So it's like when I'm having my sad time and I am like gloomy, if my child is able to understand that mama is sad and you need to go and ask mama, are you okay, that's a win situation for me, because that's when he recognizes the emotions. So that's a major learning that I've taken back from my psychology course, that I need to work on the mental health of my child, not anything else. Academics and everything comes later. If the child is happy, everything works well.
Tell me, when you're running a school, there are obviously many phases, and I think parents earlier thought 3 years, 4 years, and is the right time to start. Then you had a phase where people were doing a mother toddler class, and now there is the NEP, which also talks about a child should not be in school before the age of 5. So how are all, like, there is so much confusion in a parent's mind. As an educator, how would you frame that or simplify that for a parent?
So, but one good thing that has happened now is people are more aware of early education. Earlier during our phase, it was usually we used to go and join when we are in first standard or something like that. But now, even if I talk about NEP, so there's something called as a fundamental block, in which they also consider like from nursery to second standard, and they say that this fundamental block is like very, very important for a child. So I'm glad that like now parents are also much much aware of this fact. And I can see, like in my school also, we have pre-nursery where we have children like from 2 years to 3 years coming, and 2 years to 3 years is basically, the phase when there's a lot of development happening. There's a lot of neuron multiplication happening. The child learns so much with zero efforts. And if the child is in a good environment, in a learning environment, or we call it as a stimulating environment, the child will start picking up things much faster than we can do. So I really feel that, if as a parent you feel sending your child that early to school is not something which you go by, if you are able to provide that kind of environment to your child at home, which I did because we had a pandemic and naturally I couldn't send through to school. If you can do that, it's good, but if you can send to a good school, then definitely it will going to help your child a lot. And one more thing is, usually all the parents feel ki, okay, the board exams are very important, we need to work in 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, that's very important. But the most important phase of a child's life is the years before they turn 6, which is like very important. You make your child like very interested in reading, they carry it forward throughout their life. So it's not just, and you create that love for mindfulness, or as I told, emotional regulation, everything. You can build a man in these 0 to 6 years. So you work well during that phase, then I think 10th, 11th or whatever, that just
there's something very interesting that my mom told me. She said, Mansi, if you will, the more time you give to your kids when they are younger, the less time you will need to give them when they're older, because there will be less problems that you will be solving. So if you address the foundational years very, very well, then it just becomes so much easier to address. And it's not only from a from an education standpoint, but an emotional standpoint as well. So to sum it up, the more time that you give while the kids are younger, the less time you will need to spend on trivial things when they're older. So I think giving in that time is extremely important. Tell me, kids also, when they come to school, they obviously go through this phase of separation anxiety, right? And I've often seen that they're most rebellious with the mother. And my understanding of that would be, is simply because, and I know most educators will say that please do not, if your child is struggling with separation anxiety, do not send the mother. Send either the dadi or the father or a nanny, because it's much easier to detach from them versus detaching from the mother. Do you see that at school as well?
Yes, 100%. So separation anxiety is like very, very common in children. So many parents, they always raise a concern ki, why is my child crying? Why is my child not settling? So one example, that is usually the moms. One example that I always give is, didn't you cry when you got married and you had your vidai and you came to your new house? And I think this happened when you were like 20 plus. So at that age, when you cried when you were leaving your house and going to a new house, how do you expect a small child not to cry? It's an example, I think, which everybody can relate to. So separation anxiety, yes, it's very common, and it's a lot more when moms are there, because the child feels more bonded to mom, and when they are coming to school, a new environment, they feel that we are just snatching the child away from the mom. So even in our school also, we say ki there are few tips that you have to follow if you are sending your child to school. The first thing is, you should not be anxious. As a new mom or whatever it is, you will definitely be anxious, but at least don't show it in front of your child. So be a happy mom, and or be a happy dad. Talk about good things related to school. You're going to school, you're going to play with friends, you're going to have so many friends, you'll do coloring and all those things, and send them happily to the school. Don't talk anything negative about the school, about the teacher, or about any other experience in front of the child. The child is very smart, they pick up very fast, and then they become more anxious. So two things that helps is definitely like be very happy when you're sending your child to school, and also be very consistent. So one thing I've noticed is, parents usually they send their child to school for first day, the child cries, second day the child cries, third day the parent decides, okay, let me take a break of few days and then I'll send from Monday, and then we are back to like level 0, and then we, as a school, we need to start again. So we say, even if you are sending for 1 hour, send, but send consistently and send happily. And if you feel that they are not ready to leave the mom, maybe the dad can come and drop the child.
Right. Demi, you also speak a lot on like you mentioned, math, right? And you've been a math teacher, and interesting and innovative ways of making children learn, and how you managed to navigate through COVID. Tell us 3 interesting ways of actually teaching children math.
Yeah. So I'll give you examples from my teaching life itself. So when I was teaching like the middle school, I think the entire class, they were like very least interested in doing math. Math period was like very boring for them. And I asked, like, why do you feel math is so boring for you? So they were like, ma'am, usually the sir or teachers, they are not able to finish the portions, and they take out our PT periods, which we get like once in a week, and they take that also, and they teach math, chemistry and other things in that. So I was like, okay, now let me work on this. Maybe I can give them a playtime. So what I did was I went and asked my principal, who was like very, very supportive. I asked her, ma'am, is it okay if I can use math period as a playtime? And I have a plan in my mind, but trust me, it's going to help children a lot. She was like, yeah, just go ahead. So what I did was I used to teach them a unit, like a very small portion of math, and then I used to say, okay, every Monday, Monday I used to have 2 periods. Every Monday I'm going to give you a very small test, 10 marks ka simple test, maybe 3 or 4 questions from whatever I've taught in the previous week. You score 8, 9, 10 out of that, I'm going to give you free playtime in my next math period. Anybody scoring less than that is going to sit with me and study while others are playing. So initially what happened was there were I think nearly half of the class, they scored less, they were sitting with me, but then they were looking at others who are like playing and enjoying. They were like, next time I need to work harder. Next week they worked harder, and there were lesser children with me. And eventually what happened was everyone got the practice of, habit of practicing maths so that they can score well. So this way the entire grade and everything. So I think understanding a child, what a child requires. Okay, child is not getting a PT period because that's being taken by math science teachers. Give them playtime and they'll do anything for you. They'll even sit and study and practice maths daily. So this is something which helped. And next thing was when we talk about children, there are like 4 kind of learners that we say. We call it as VARK, visual learner, auditory learner, and so on. Majority of our children, they fall under either visual or kinesthetic, where they want to touch, feel, experience and learn, which usually doesn't happen in math. Math mein what can you touch, feel and like build and other things. So what I did was I started doing a lot of projects with them. We took newspapers. I told we need to roll it into sticks. We are going to make geodesic dome out of it. We'll go and sit inside that. So the entire concept was not just doing math, but also application of that, and that helped. Right. And this helps everyone. You include playtime into a child's study. They do well.
Any manipulatives that you would include for under 6 for practicing math or explaining them early concepts of math?
Yeah, so I always say math should not be done just by using paper and pencil. It should be done by using objects. So when you're telling your children 1, 2, 3, 4, if I write like this is 1, but this is just a symbol. What is 1? The child should know if I keep 1 apple, this quantity is 1. So associate math with quantity. So if you are teaching addition, don't make them write 2, 3 and plus mark, okay, they are adding 5. No, give them objects. Give them, like, you get so many things. You get pebbles, beads, something. Tell them, okay, you have to put 2 here in the basket. Now you need 3, put 3 in the basket. Now count how many you have and you write. So this way your child get the understanding of quantity and other things, and the child is doing something. As I told, when they do something, they feel more interested.
Right. Tell me, what are the top 3 concerns that parents have today when they're coming to you at school and sharing with you? What would be some of them?
Yeah. So top 3, the first and most important is definitely screen time, which I think is very inevitable in this generation. Maybe because the parents are working and nobody is there to take care of the child at home, and you're giving the tab, and over the period of time it becomes an addiction where the child is just glued to screen time. And what we have noticed is a lot of exposure to screen time also leads to a lot of delays in children, which I am facing in my school also. So there are children who comes with a lot of speech delay and less attention span and all those things. So definitely screen time is something which they all are struggling with. Next is socialization. So post pandemic, like earlier also, the amount of time that children used to go out and play was very less. Now it has reduced to such a level that children, they don't know how to socialize. Let's say not going and talking to anybody, but even if someone is playing in the group, they don't prefer sitting in the group and playing along with them. So, and they freak out when they see, a large crowd and all those things. So socialization is something which parents come with a concern, and I say ki, all these things start solving when you start introducing your child to these things. Like you feel your child is not socializing, take your child more to places where there are their age children, peers, send them to school, or if you don't want to send to school, send them to playground, and be there where children, only when they start experiencing, they'll start building that skill, right? So these two things are there. And the third one is, I'll say it's like little silly, but as parents we feel that things like throwing or running around the room or having low attention span, my child is not sitting and doing an activity, all these things, they feel like it's a big concern. But if you dig deep and you check, all these are part of their development. Yeah. So a child not sitting and doing activity for a long time, because the child is not meant for that. So if you like scientifically speak about attention span of a child, it's 2 times to 3 times of their age. So if I say if it's a 2-year-old child, you can expect the child to sit only for like 4 to 6 minutes, and you're trying to make your child sit and do for like half an hour, the child can't take it. After that, they lose their attention and they want to run around. So these are certain things which maybe parents are not aware of, but then they expect the child to, do all those things.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Tell me also the big question, like I think you already mentioned about screens. How do you go about telling parents that are especially at your school on addressing this part of it?
Yeah. So, when it comes to screen time, parents usually associate it with vision. They say, okay, the child watches TV, uska aankh kharab ho jayega, and all those things. But there are a lot of other things which are associated with that, which are kind of invisible to a parent's eye. For example, disturbed sleep. The child will not have a proper sleep. The child will not sleep on time. Even if the child is sleeping, he will not have a peaceful sleep. He'll keep on, moving around, sitting, going here and there. Then eating pattern, definitely it will go for a toss. Their behavior towards people will go for a toss, and everything. So I always tell the parent ki, okay, like give them some play area, or give them something, like we say open-ended toys like blocks, magnet tiles and all, because with that the child can sit and play for like hours and hours together. So give them those things, have minimal amount of screen time. And even if you are giving screen time, even if your child is like screaming, I need screen time, and maybe half an hour or whatever you are showing, avoid certain kind of things, like avoid shows which have like fighting, hitting and all those things. Avoid shows like Cocomelon, which I'll say is like very famous among young parents and young children, but those kind of shows which are very colorful with music and other things, they are very overstimulating. There's a whole research which has happened behind that. So there are other certain kind of shows which I also say, if your child really wants to see, there are shows like Bluey, you have all these things are like good for children. They are less overwhelming, there are less tunes and colors and other things. Even if your child is watching that, it's not going to affect them negatively.
Right.
Yeah.
So now that you've spoken about the shows, tell us 5 Vidya approved toddler shows that kids must, or parents should, if they have to get their kids to watch, what would it be?
Yeah. So I'll say like I'll also suggest some, but I'll give you like few tips using which you can also assess whether the program which your child is watching is good or not. First thing is, it should not have any kind of foul language, hitting, biting and all those stuffs. Second thing is, if I give an example of any like rhymes or Cocomelon and other things, you'll see the scenes change very fast. It does not stay for the same scene doesn't stay for more than 3 seconds. When the scenes change fast, and you'll hear like at the same time there's a child giggling, there's a sound of the bus, there's a sound of the, so there are many things together at the same time. It's just to grab the attention of a child, but it's overstimulating for a child. So avoid any kind of shows which have that. So the kind of things which I always suggest is where there's a person, I mean real life person, because naturally you can't have that person can't be super fast and in showing things like Blippi. It's a very good show. That's a very educational show for children. If you want to go for animated ones, Bluey is really good. They have very muted colors of like blue, browns, which is like not stimulating for the child at all. And then we have Puffin Rock, that is also very nice. So we have certain things like this which are like really good, which you can try out.
So if I have to sum up, when you guys, okay, so we have to really sum this up. When you are looking at screen time for your kids, do not look at it as just visual damage, because it's not only harming your child's eyes. What is also doing is overstimulating your child. It is decreased attention span, decreased social skills, delayed speech in many children, and of course not a lot of collaboration that happens. The fast pace of the frames changing, the animation, the speed, the multiple sounds that are actually coming are creating attention deficit in your children. So it is extremely important that when you are giving screen time, you're very wise about it and you're choosing the right time and the right quantity of time and the right shows to give your child for screen time.
True. Very true.
Okay, in a world where we're constantly battling for our children to play, what role does play have in a child's psychological and emotional development?
Yeah. So as I told you, associate play with anything and the child will be very happy to do that. Okay, so if you want your child to clean up their play area after they are done with it, include a play. So what we do is I keep a basket usually, and this happens in school also. We have a basket and the child have to take everything and put back into that basket. So we sing a song, let's clean up the room and all, and with the song the child goes, picks. So it's a kind of play for them. Or else I say, okay, now you're going to pick only the red ones and you're going to go and put it. So include play in everything, and the child will be very happy to do that. That's one major thing. And also one thing about play is not only for small children, I'll say even for like little let's say like 8, 9, 10-year-old children also, there's something called brain breaks or movement breaks, which are usually done in schools. So when you have done a little bit of learning or something with the child, take a small break and ask them, like maybe tap their hands or tap their feet or clap or do something like that. So it's like a break from the monotonous learning pattern that you are having, and it kind of resets the child. So we are introducing play to reset the child, and the child is now like back to a little like comfortable zone, and then you can do any other activity that you want. So yeah, including playtime in everything works a lot. It helps a lot. Yeah.
Right, amazing. You've been in the content space for a while and you obviously run a phenomenal community. What are the key building blocks of running a community, and what do you see is the role of communities in today's times, and how do you keep a community engaged?
Yeah, so I have a community of mothers mainly. So there are moms who ask for help, there are moms who give them help, and I feel happy about it because see, Bangalore, like if you see, is a place where moms have come, or basically people have come from like all parts of India and they've settled here. So when someone is asking, okay, can you just tell me a good school in this area, and then there are moms from that community telling this is good, that is good, you should try this, that makes me happy. So I started my Bangalore Moms Tribe in 2019. 2018 my son was born. I started in 2019 because I felt that I also needed a space.
How many members are there today?
We are full. The WhatsApp group is full. So we have 1024 is the 1024 is the capacity. We are there.
Wow.
So and we have moms who've been there from the starting, like 2019 onwards, and I've met a lot of people today also. But yeah, that helps a lot. And when like they come and say, that community helped me so much. And not just that, I'll tell you, there are so many moms who are like saying, my child have fallen, you just see this is happening, what should I do, where should I go? And then even at 12 o'clock at night also, there are parents, like people who are saying ki, go, this doctor will be available, or there's a doctor in the group saying ki, I am there, just give me a call, I'll help you out, do a video call. So this is what I feel is something that I've built. What about you? I think you should say Kidsstoppress is like something that we all have been following for all our
Yeah, always makes me feel the dinosaur.
But yeah, I think one like something that I have studied about child psychology, but still my child is very small, and I think your child is little more grown up,
Yes.
so that's a very different phase for you, no? So how do you feel, like, was that easy? I mean, handling a toddler, or is this part easy?
I don't think any of it is easy.
Yeah.
But I would say, to me, each part of it has very, very different memories, and it comes with its own set of highs and lows, right? So that time the child cannot communicate when the child is really young. So you feel a little frustrated because you're not being able to understand their needs and their wants, and the language is the barrier, right? So that time the challenges are different. But once the child talking, it's different. But once the child is fighting for independence, it's a different phase. Obviously, when they're teens, they're going through a completely different emotional roller coaster, physical roller coaster, mental roller coaster. So it's just very different, Vidya, honestly, at different stage. But I keep saying this to every single parent who I interact with. Just enjoy whichever phase you are in, because this phase is not going to come back. Like today, when my girls are much older, do I wish that they were younger and I could hold on for a few more years? Of course I do. But I absolutely enjoy the space I am in with them right now, because we share an amazing bond. Like, when parents complain of teen troubles, or that their teen not understanding their language, and they ask me, really, what did you do right? I sometimes am at lack of words at what I did right, because I don't know what I did to have such a beautiful relationship. But yes, I gave my children a lot of time. Alongside working, I think just giving them that time, knowing that I am available, and explaining to them what I do and what times I will be even unavailable. Like this whole weekend I've been working Saturday, Sunday. I travel a lot without my children. So there are times when there is nobody, one parent is not available. And they've understood that unavailability also as well. Of course, as parents and as children, we will miss each other. But that understanding is there that, okay, she's away at work and this is important to her. So I think every phase is very, very challenging.
And as you told, no, like living every moment, that's also very important.
Yeah, I know you mentioned that yesterday. And it was so pretty.
So I just, one more thing is like, there are certain things which usually you would have seen, like moms are criticized a lot, especially on social media. You should not carry your child is going to be clingy, you should not co-sleep, or you should not feed your child with your hands, in their mouth, or you should, so many things, right? But what I always feel is, see, this is a phase. Now I am feeding my child with my hand. Sometimes, like, he does eat independently. Sometimes I feel like giving him food. Very soon I'll go out of this phase where he will say, Mama, you don't give me, Mama, I can eat myself, or Mama, I'm going out to party with my friends. I'll miss this moment. So I don't want to. I want to cling to my child. I want to cherish this moment, and I don't give ears to all these things.
It's so strange that you say this, because my kids are 11 and 15. I still sometimes feed them. Like, it is, I feed them with my hands, and I think anybody who's told you that you should not be feeding your children, it's completely wrong. Yes, they want to be independent, but something my pediatrician told me very early on, because my second one was a very fussy eater in one part. Like, for 6 months she went through this phase when, I after I was working from home for a very long time, I got an office and I started going out for shorter periods, and my daughter stopped eating. And my pediatrician said, every tantrum is attention-seeking behavior.
Yes.
Can you validate that attention? So I started making the effort. I would go to work from 8 to 1. I would come back home no matter where I am at 1 o'clock, feed lunch, and then go back at 2 to work. And then 2 to 5, when she's taking a nap, I would go back. Now, that changed the dynamics. The Loki, the Turai, the Tinda, everything just went down like magic. Because my child wasn't the problem. It was that I had stopped feeding my child. Even today, like, my daughter's 15, if she has an exam, I still feed her, because, she's trying to learn something, or last minute revision and everything. But sometimes my 11-year-old feels like I haven't been home for many days, and she'll be like, okay, today you feed me. So there is no age for thing, and I just feel like parents need to just be very intuitive that it's not a habit. it sometimes is love. So
Yeah.
I think, and I keep speaking about this discipline, obedience over a one-off, like really choose and pick your battles, because you're going to be redundant as a
Yes.
parent very, for a few years, like at least a decade after they're 18, between 18 to 30, you're not going to be the most valued asset for them. So while they are at it, just hold
Yeah.
on to that piece. You raised a very important thing about co-sleeping.
Yeah.
I want to know your perspective on co-sleeping.
Yeah, so I believe that I don't know. There are a lot of people who say that you should not, and child should be moved to a separate room when there are these many months old and all. But I still love cuddling because I know I produce my cuddly bear and I don't want to leave him and I want to cuddle as much as I
Yeah.
can. And the warmth that he feels when I'm there with him and the peaceful sleep that he gets and even I get, nothing is going to compensate. I'm not going to listen to any social media person telling me you should not go sleep with your child. I'll do as far as he's okay. And when he is telling me now, he's 5, he's telling mama, when I'm going to turn 7, on my 7th birthday onwards, I'm going to sleep in my room.
Yeah.
I said, okay, you choose, right?
Yeah.
But as far as he's like there with me, I'm not going to leave him. I'll just cuddle.
Yeah, and it's so strange, this question that I often get asked on co-sleeping. And I always tell parents that look at your circumstances. Not everybody is blessed with a separate child's room. So it is
Exactly.
okay for your child to co-sleep with you. They either get a separate cot, and if you don't have space for a separate cot in your room, even a side bed guard is a great buy, and go ahead and do that. And I think while we practice the Western way, we're forgetting a very Indian way, that when you're co-sleeping with your child, you're obviously providing so much warmth and security that that warmth and security will help them carry through the independent years of sleeping. And I think that is often sometimes missed. And especially in the Indian way, we always do not let our children cry it out. We always try to pacify it. And when your child wants to sleep with you, it is absolutely okay. Look at your circumstances, look at your house, look at how you need to go back as a working mother. Like when I had to go back as a working mother and I had to literally resume in like 30 days back, I needed my sleep and I needed my sanity, and I knew that when I co-sleep with my child will sleep longer, I will sleep better because I need to go back to work the next day. So my 8 hours of sleep was very, very important to me. So I let that pass. Are my kids sleeping independently today? 100%. And what is most important to know is even when they're 11 and 15, they will have bad dreams. They will walk into your room in the middle of the night, and they know that they can walk in only because of the security that they've got.
Yes.
Everything that you've done, whether you've left them to sleep with Dadi, Nani, Masi, somebody, they will be okay with not sleeping with you alone, not creating complete silence and all of that, only because of the security that you've provided. True. So there is no wrong or right way. If co-sleeping works for you, just go ahead and practice it. Of course, figure out between you and your partner if that is a choice that you guys are making as a family, and what are the circumstances around you. I think that is most important in my opinion.
True, definitely. So, as I told, I have my community and everything, but Kidsstoppress is something which you have taken way beyond, something that as a mom or as a blogger, I can even imagine. So, how was your initial journey? Did you even start this with the thinking, okay, I'm going to make it this big going forward in the future? Do you have a 10-year plan or something like that, or how was it? I really want to know about that.
So it's so strange that you asked this question, because honestly, I knew that I'll tell you how it started. It basically started with me struggling to find, I'm very rooted in the Indian way of parenting, but I think I lack the knowledge or the information or the access to information or science to why we do what we do. And therefore, for me, it was very important to kind of back that with science and get it from the Western world. So somewhere it was a sandwich between the Indian way of parenting and the Western way of parenting.
Yeah.
And that's why I started Kidsstoppress, because I felt that huge void. Did I know when I started 10 years ago that it's going to become so big? No, I didn't. Did I know that I want to reach as many people and, keep unfolding different avenues? Yes, I was constantly driven because I've always been in marketing, marketing, communications, consumer behavior, just human behavior was very fascinating for me. So did I know that it will be this big? In this form and shape, no. But did I know that it will lead somewhere? Yes, I did. So right from being India's first parenting influencer to being today having a community which we call as Kidsstoppress Bloggers Guild, where we have 1,000+ bloggers who work with us, who collaborate with us, who come for the events that we host, whose stories we cover. Because it's not just about my experience and my story, right? Because
Yeah.
I constantly keep saying there are so many Indias within in India that the way Gujarati kind of parents is not the way a South Indian
yeah.
parents versus a
Yes.
Maharashtrian versus a person from Delhi versus
Definitely,
a
yeah.
person in a tier 2 city or in Calcutta or any. We are many Indias within India, and it cannot just be my experience.
Yeah.
So therefore we've opened up the platform to so many different moms and dads and educators and other stakeholders to kind of share experience and the rights and the wrongs. We've always stayed away from prescriptive content because I don't think there is a prescription to raising a child. That cannot be the way that we want this platform
Yeah.
to be, or say that I am the expert. I just never feel like I am the expert, because the minute I will start believing that there will be a formula to raise a child, which I'm completely against,
Yeah.
because I do believe that every family is different, every parent is different, every child is different, every family's circumstances are different.
Yeah, true.
So there cannot be a one size sort of fits all. Yeah, but it just kind of, honestly, Vidya, gave the path just unfolded. Like, we started with a website and a Facebook page, then we went on to YouTube, then we went on to Instagram, then on to podcasts, then into doing a whole bunch of physical events. And of course, today, like I said, we have a bloggers program, because we want as many bloggers, because all the questions that went unanswered in my mind when I started out this journey, which was, how much do you charge? Do
Yeah.
I do it for free? Do I get paid? How do I create content? Like, I don't know what to post. Or, yesterday I met somebody and she said, I don't know, I feel I'm very camera shy,
Yeah.
or I don't know the right equipment, or I don't know how to edit, or I don't know what is the right time of posting, what is the wrong time of posting, how do you ask someone for collaboration, how do you get a guest? There are just so many questions. Who's going to answer? Because everybody believes that, acha, main usko answer de dungi, then she will grow more than me. Today, at this point and stage that I am in, there is no insecurity, because I want the world to recognize, I want more brands to recognize the parenting community is so powerful and so strong, that I just want more moms to join the force, or even more dads. I'll be more than happy to guide any dad as well. So that's why we launched the bloggers program, where I, along with many other individuals, will kind of train and coach and guide many people who want to start doing this on a professional basis. Because I always say this, for anything that you may want to do, you've got to find your niche, you've got to be consistent.
Yes.
And when you reach a certain stage, you've got to pay back.
Yeah.
So I think,
True.
okay, so we come to the fun part of this segment, and it is the rapid fire round. So you have to quickly answer all of these in just about a word.
Yeah.
So let's go. If you have to describe your parenting style in a word.
Creative.
Okay. Which is the most difficult phase during parenting, newborn, infant or toddler?
Infant, for sure.
What is tougher, being a mom or being a teacher? Come on.
I think being a mom.
Okay. How much time do you spend on Instagram in a day?
A lot.
Okay,
I think I have to get
quantify.
Yeah, but a lot. It's like I can't tell in number of hours, because I just, whenever I'm free, I just keep on checking, like how many followers did increase, how many did they leave and go, and all those things. So yeah, a lot.
Okay. One YouTube channel that you would recommend as an educator?
For children,
Yeah.
Blippi.
Okay. One app that you would recommend as an educator?
Duolingo, as
Okay.
you told, I
Yeah.
feel that it's really good, because even my son, he learned some like German words from somewhere, and he was like, Mama, do you know what is the meaning of this? And then I recognized he loved to learn
Yeah.
new languages, and I downloaded and I helped him with that, and he's so happy. He's learning few words, and he's coming and telling me things which I don't know.
Yeah.
But then I think that's really good.
Okay. 5 early childhood manipulatives that you would advise parents to buy.
First thing is definitely any kind of open-ended toys like blocks, magna tiles, or rainbow stackers and all, because kids can sit and play with that for like very long time. Then next thing will be we have a lot of Montessori manipulatives like the pink tower where they learn about the sizes, or we have stackers which are like really good puzzles based on their age. So if you're like your child is an infant or someone who's got this tiny grip, so you can give like one piece puzzle. If the child grows, you can give two-piece puzzle, four-piece, and you can evolve.
Right.
So puzzle is definitely which helps a lot. And then tools for writing, scribbling, painting, free work. Okay, so have a sheet or have a roll of paper, or if you don't have anything, just take a big A3 sheet and just stick it to the wall. Give different kinds of colors to the child, finger paints or crayons or whatever, brushes, and tell them to sit and scribble. They'll be very happy, and it will help also them a lot.
Right. The last book you read to your child?
There are so many actually. Nowadays, I don't know, like he's got the craze of learning about solar system. So he's got a book on moon. So yeah, I read about that.
The last parenting book that you read?
I'm reading your book.
Yay!
Now,
I'm very
so I've
happy with
started
that.
reading, and I think something which I would definitely tell everyone to read as well.
Amazing.
I'm giving it to my sister after I've told her, after I read, you're going to read this, and trust me, you're going to learn a lot, because she's a new mom. So she's in that phase of all confusions and other things, but I
Right.
think it's a very motivating book.
A fun lie that you've told your child?
There are so many, but something which I've told is, okay, I'm sure that people are going to bash me for this, but then I love eating ice cream, and somehow I didn't want to give him, because Bangalore climate, now you'll be knowing,
Yeah.
every climate just changes like that,
Yeah.
and kids fall sick very often. So I told him, like you can can you see, like he was very small that time, so I showed a number at the back, and I said that people who are above the age of 30 can only eat this. So if you're below 30 and you're eating,
She's very mean.
yeah.
She's just very, very mean.
So I did that, and he believed, but now he don't believe. But then yeah, that worked.
Okay. Thank you very much. You've been incredible, and what a fun chat that we've had. Trust me, guys, none of these were actually part of the questions. We were just, I think,
Yeah.
just chatting, and we took this conversation, just how it progressed. So thank you so much, Vidya. Thank you for your time.
For parenting tips, celebrity interviews, recipes, conversations with experts, DIYs, and lots more. Subscribe to Kidsstoppress now.